Beruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Yudalid Amud Beis, starting with Yudalid Amud Aleph, 5 lines from the bottom. Our Mishnah had stated in regard to a kara, a crossbeam, it has to have the width of a tefach and have the strength to mekabel an ariyach, a half of a levena. Rabbi Yehuda says it's true, I agree with you. It must have the width of a tefach, but we say roin as if we see it as having the strength to mekabel an ariyach, and therefore it's sufficient even if it's not mekabel the ariyach. The Mishnah goes on to say that even a kash, according to Rabbi Yehuda, would also be sufficient. And the chiddush over there, the Gemara had to explain, because if it's roin, as if we see it as mateches, then what's then the chiddush over the reisha? To say that even if it's something that does not in itself have the ability mekabel an ariyach, nonetheless, we say roin, as if we see it as being like a mateches, like a piece of metal. Now the Mishnah has stated that the crossbeam can be circular, like a pipe. And the Gemara will also ask, what's the chiddush here as well? Says the Gemara, quoting the Mishnah, Agula roin oisa ki'ilu hi merubas, we view it as if it is square. Ask the Gemara, hasu lamali, why do we need this case also? If we're saying roin, we've been saying roin until now also, so why do we have a new case of roin? Says the Gemara, Seifa itzrichalei, koshe yesh behekefoy, gimot tfachim, yesh ba roichav tefach. The chiddush is that if the hekef, the circumference of this pipe, is going to be 3 tfachim, then the roichav, what we call the diameter, is going to be 1 tefach. And indeed, this is lahalacha, and it's also mathematically the mitzias. So the Gemara asks, where do we know that we use this lahalacha? Rabbi Yochanan Omar Kro, it states in the pasuk, Vayas es hayam mutzak. Shlomo HaMelech made a pool of metal, a metal pool. Os eser be'ama b'svasoy ad svasoy agol saviv. He made it so that it's 10 amos, that's going to be across, we'll call it a diameter, from one end, from one rim to the other end, the other rim of the circular mutzak. V'chamesh be'ama koimosoi, and its height was 5 amos. V'kav shloishim be'ama yasoiv oisoi soviv, and the circumference of this pool was 30 amos. So it comes out that you have a 30 amos circumference, a diameter of 10 amos, and a height of 5 amos. I asked the Gemara, okay, there it comes out, therefore then it's a ratio of 3 to 1. 30 amos circumference to a 10 amos diameter, 3 to 1. So if we said 3 in our Mishnah, 3 tfachim circumference, it will come out to be 1 tefach diameter. Omar asked the Gemara, behold, it says the rim. Mashma, though, then that the rim itself, if you have the circle and it goes a rim, then you're going to then take the 10 amos diameter that's going to be within the rims, and therefore it's going to be not a accurate measurement, because you'll have to have more than 10 amos diameter for a 30 amos circumference, and therefore it's including the rims. So it's not an accurate calculation to say it's a 3 to 1 ratio. These svasoi, these rims, they taper to the point where they're very thin, and therefore it's not going to be a problem with our calculation. Dirshu, it says in the pasuk, ve'avyoi tefach, the width of the wall is a tefach. However, v'svasor k'maise kois perach shoishan, the rim is like the making of a cup, which has the petal of a flower. Alpayim bas yochil, which is going to be this whole area, this whole pool will be able to then hold 2 1,000 bas, and a bas is 3 saw, so it's a total of 6,000 saw of water. Ask the Gemara, but still v'ha'ika mashu, but still at the end of the day there's a mashu, because the thickness is still going to have some sort of mashu, whereby it'll then disturb the calculation. Answers the Gemara, ki kochoshiv megavoy kochoshiv. When we are making the calculation and making the circumference, the hekef, that is from the inside, whereby it's not including the rims. So it comes out, we now learn that indeed, lahalacha, we can say that if there's a pipe of a kara, which is 3 tefachim circumference, then it will be a diameter of 1 tefach, therefore it's going to be sufficient to matir tiltul in the mavui. Says the Gemara, bring the following teaching, Tanya, Rabbi Chia taught, Yam she'osa shloimoi haya machzik 150 mikveh tahara. This yam, this pool that Shlomo HaMelech made, it can contain 150 mikvos, and a mikvah is 40 saw, as we will soon see, and therefore 150 times the 40 saw gives us the calculation of 6,000, which actually comes out to be exactly what we said in the previous line when we quoted the pasuk, that it's alpayim bas yochil. It can contain 2,000 bas, and we said a bas is 3 tefachim, so it will be 6,000, not tefachim, 3 saw. So it's going to be 6,000 saw, which is what we're saying over here as well. The Gemara now challenges this, however. Michdi, mikvah kamahave. The Gemara now makes the calculation. A mikvah, how much is a mikvah? Arboim saw, it's 40 saw. Kidetanya, like it states in the Brayso, quoting the pasuk Verochatz, on top of page Yudalid Amud Beis at the very top. Bamayim, the pasuk is in water. B'mei mikvah, to teach it doesn't have to be mayim chayim like a mayan. It could be a pool of water. Kol b'sarai, the mikvah that is a mikvah of water, has to be kol b'sar. The pasuk says mayim shekol gufoy oila behen, water that the entire body will then become submerged in. V'kamahein, how much water do you have to have in a mikvah to allow the average person to submerge in that water? Omar al amma berum shalosh amos. 1 amma by 1 amma, the height is 3 amos, which would give us a combination of 3 cubic amos. That would be the volume. Vishiaru chachamim mei mikvah arbaim sa, and the chachamim then ascertain that that is 40 sa'ah. So Gemara now is going to then challenge what we said before, that if indeed Rabbi Chia is teaching that that pool that Shlomo HaMelech made can contain 150 mikvos, which each mikvah we say is 40 saw. So he asked, the Gemara is asking the following question now, based on the calculation. Kama havu lahu, based on his pool that Shlomo HaMelech made, how much was it? Chamesh meya garmidi. It was 500 amos, because we said it's 10 diameter by 10 with a 5 height. So it would come out to be 500 amos would be the amount. Litlas, so the Gemara now makes the calculation. Litlas meya, if we take 300, that means we'd say 3 amos high. We take 3 amos high, that would come out to be meya, because we said 30 cubic is the volume for the mikvah. So whereby 300 divided by the 30 will give us 100 mikvahs. Lemeya v'chamshin, if it's half that amount, 150, because we'll take 150 for that, that will give us chamshin. That will give us 50, because 150, again, if we divide it by 3, because we're saying that every mikvah is 3 cubits, so then would it come out to be chamshin 50. So altogether we're left with ba'arba meya v'chamshim sagya. With 450 would give us the 150 mikvos. We don't need 500. So there's something wrong in the calculation. We're saying over here that he made a breicha, a pool that was 500 in its measurement. Well, we only need 450 to give us 150 mikvos, so that which Rabbi Chia taught, 150 mikvos, would not then be accurate for the breicha that Shlomo Melech made. Answers the Gemara, Hani mili biribua. You're making a calculation to say 450 would give us 150 mikvos and not 500. We don't need to come up to another 550. We can have 150 mikvos with only 450. Well, that's when it comes to a square. But the breicha, the pool that Shlomo Melech made, was circular. Yam she'asa Shlomo ogol haya. Ask the Gemara, if that's true, that also will not be coming out to be 150 mikvos. Michti kama miruba yeser ala ogol. How much is the square greater than the circle? If you put a circle inside of a square, so the spaces between the square and the circle, those spaces, how much is there a difference? Answers Gemara, a revia, a quarter. So la'arba meya, so then 400 of the calculation that we made before of the square, then it would come out to be meya. It would come out to be 100 mikvos. Lemeya, for 100, which would be really 75 cube, that would come out to be esrim v'chamisha, 25 mikvos. Hani meya ve'esrim v'chamisha havaluhu. So it comes out to be that we made a calculation that we will only get 125, and you said, Rabbi Chia, that it's going to come out to be 150 mikvos. Answers the Gemara, Tani Rabbi Yechezkel, Yam she'osa shloima sholosh amois tachtoinos mirubois, v'shtayim elyonos egulos. He's saying that the first bottom part of the breicha, of the pool, was square. The top part was circular. So the first 3 amos was square. The top 2 amos was round. And therefore would come out to be the bottom 3 amos that was square, that would be 300. So 300, when we said square, would come out to be 100 mikvos, taking a third. Whereas the circle was the first to top 2 amos, those 2 top would come out to be a total of 50 mikvos. So that would give us then what Reb Chia was teaching, 150 amos is what the breicha of Shlomo Melech then contained. Says the Gemara, Nihid ipcha lo matziz amri. We could not say the opposite, that the bottom was round and the top was square, because the svasei ogol ksiv. It says that the svas, the rim, was round. Ela machada, but maybe you can say the first 4 amos was square and the top amma was round. Gemara says, Lo sal kedaitach. You can't think that because Dirshu, it says, Alpayim bas yochil, that it is going to then contain 2,000 bas. And a bas, we said, is 3 saw. So really 6,000 saw it will contain. Bas kamahi havyo. How much is a bas? Shalosh sin, 3 saw. Dirshu, it says in the posting, Maiser habas min hakor. A core, by the way, is 30 saw. So taking a tenth of the bas from the core, the havolehu shisa alfi grive. It will come out to be, if you take a tenth out of the saw, they'll come out to be then just 3. The havole shisa alfi gride will come out to be then a total of 6,000 measurements, because you have again the 2,000 bas, and therefore each bash is 3 saw, a total of 6,000. I asked the Gemara, it says in the pasuk, in a different pasuk in Divrei Hayomim, which seems to contradict this. You are telling me that it's going to be 6,000 saw, which we said is 150 mikvos, because each mikvah is 40 saw. It says in another pasuk, Machsig batim shloishes alpayim. Shloishes alofim. It says Machsik 3,000 batim. And if 3,000 batim, each bas is 3 saw, that's 9,000 batim. So it really comes out to be 225 mikvos, because 225 times 40 saw gives us 9,000. Answers the Gemara, no. Hahu legudsha. This last post that we quote from Divrei Yomim is talking about what it can contain. Begudsha. Gudsha means that which is a dry measurement of a solid. and therefore when you heap it over, you're going to then get more. Amar Abaye, Shma'amina, Hai Gudsha Tilsa Have. We can derive from this that Gudsha, a drier measurement that you heap over, will be 1/3 more. The Gemara now brings a support for this. Vitnan Nami, we also have a Mishnah that states, Sheida Teva Umigdal, Kaveres Hakash, different boxes and different baskets, Vikaveres Hakanim, Ubor Sfina Lachzandris, and a bore that goes underneath a certain boat that would travel from Eretz Yisrael to Alexandria, which would require a person who's traveling in the salty water to then contain a lot of water down below, a bore. Even though they have a taras kli, because they have a bottom that can be placed on. Shehen kurayim biyavish, which are going to be 40 saw belach, liquid, which are going to contain 60 saw biyavish, they're going to be taharin. So from here we see that the 40 saw of liquid will then be equal to then holding 60 saw of dry. So we see that indeed it's going to be 1/3 more. The Gemara now brings the next Mishnah, which now focuses on lechi. Until now we're talking about kaira. In the previous Mishnah, now we're going to focus on lechi. Says the Mishnah, lechiyayin she'amru goivhon asara tfachim. Its height must be 10 tfachim high. V'rochavon v'ovyan kol shehu. And the width and its thickness can be even a kol shehu. Rabbi Yossi oimer rochavon gimel tfachim. Rabbi Yossi argues and says that the roichav, the width has to be 3 tfachim wide. Ask the Gemara, l'chyoin she'amru, leimot nan stama, k'Rabbi Eliezer, da'amar l'chayayin ba'inon. The Mishnah states in plural l'chayayin. So the Gemara asks, let us state that the Stam Mishnah is going like Rabbi Eliezer, who says you require l'chayayin, plural. You need 2 lechis, 1 lechi on each side. Gemara says, loy. My lechiyayin. Why does it say lechiyayin in plural? Lechiyayin da alma. In all of the muvos, we're talking about the lechi, so we're talking in plural. Ask the Gemara, Ihochi karenami nisni karos. Then when it taught in the previous Mishnah kara, it should say karos, and it doesn't. It says it in the singular. Umay karos, karos da alma. It should say karos da alma, and it doesn't do that. So Emor answers Hochi kamar. This is how you have to explain our Mishnah when it says lechiyayin. As follows: Oisan lechiyayin shenechleku bohen Rabbi Eliezer v'Chachamim. Those lechiyayin in plural that Rabbi Eliezer who says you need 2 and the Chachamim said you need 1, they are requiring the following measurement: goivhon asara tfachim v'roichon va'ovin koshu. The height must be 10 tfachim, but the width and the thickness can be a koshu. Ask the Gemara, v'kama koshu? How much is a koshu? Answers Gemara, Tani Rabbi Chia, afilu kechut hasarbal. Even the string of a sarbal, the string of a sarbal is already going to be enough of a measurement to make a width or thickness of the lechi. The Gemara now brings the following. Tana, it's taught, asa lechi lechetzi mavui, ein loy ela chetzi mavui. If a person puts the lechi in the middle of the mavui, not at the end of the entrance to the mavui, but in the middle, some part inside of the mavui. So it says over here in this teaching, Ein loy ela chetzi mavui. Then he does not have the half of the mavui that's going to be to the entrance. He can only carry up until the mavui. Eximor pshita. Rather say that he has the half that is the internal part until the lechi. Hainami pshita, asked the Gemara, that's also straightforward. No, Ma'u the same, but there's a chiddush in this. Leichush dilma osi lishtamushe bekule. I might be concerned that maybe a person, if he's enabled to then metaltel the mavui up until the lechi, he might then go ahead and metaltel even beyond the lechi. Kamash malam, we're not concerned about that. He's able to metaltel up until the lechi. Omar Rove, Also, lechi lemavui v'higbiyoi mina karka shloisha. Rava taught that if you made a lechi and you raised it 3 tfachim or more from the karka, or shehifligu mina koisil shloisha, or if you made it a distance of 3 tfachim from the end of the wall of the mavui, let's say from the entrance, you put the lechi beyond 3 tfachim from the wall of the mavui, then lo yasa v'lo klum is not a good lechi whatsoever in both cases. Now the Gemara comes to tell us, not only is this true according to the Chachamim that say that 3 tfachim or more, we don't say lavud, it has to be less than 3 tfachim, and therefore, of course, not going to be valid. That afilu Rav Shimon Gamliel, even Rav Shimon Gamliel, who says halacha Moshe Sinai, it's less than 4 tfachim to say lavud. The Omar Minu lavud hani milamala, that's above. Aval lamata kivin dahavia mechitza shagedin bokim bo loy omar. He says, when do we say lavud within 4 tfachim? That's when you have, let's say, the cross between the kara that doesn't get all the way to the other end. It's, let's say, 3.5 tfachim till the end of the end, and we say lavud. But when it comes to the bottom, either the lechi is higher than the 3 tfachim from the ground, or extends a gap of 3 tfachim or more from the side of the mavui, then even Rabbi Shimon Gamliel will agree that it's not going to be valid because gedin, young goats, can then be boiking, they can go inside of the mavui, and therefore is not considered to be a valid mechitza. Says the Gemara, now quoting, that the Mishnah says, Rabbi Yosi oimer rachavan gimel tfachim. The width of the lechi must be arba tfachim, according to Rabbi Yosi. He argues on the Tanakam who says a kol shehu. Now we saw Rabbi Yosi earlier was brought, and Rabbi goes like the opinion of Rabbi Yosi, that indeed the lechi has to be 3 tfachim. Says the Gemara, Omar Rav Yosef, Omar Rav Yehuda, Omar Shmuel. Rav Yosef said in the name of Yehuda, in the name of Shmuel. Ein halacha Rabbi Yosi lo behilmi v'lo belechiyayin. The halacha is not like Rabbi Yosi, not in regards to hilmi. Hilmi, we learned in Masechet Shabbos, is that there's a malacha diaraisa ma'abed of tanning, and therefore midrabanan it's also to pickle, to take, let's say, a brine of vinegar or of very salty water, and then put, let's say, vegetables to sit for a period of time. Not only though is it asim derabanan to do that, but even to make such a brine, if you would take water and put excessive salt into that water, even that is prohibited. However, the Chacham said if it's a small amount, then it's okay. Even that small amount, Rabbi Yossi said, is usher to make. So here, Rabbi Yossi says that the halacha is not like Rabbi Yossi, not in regards to hilmi, and not in regards to lechayayin, that requires 3 tfachim wide. Omar le Rav Huna bar Chinana, behilmi amrislon belechayayin loy amrislon. You taught us once upon a time that the halacha is not like Rabbi Yossi in regards to hilmi, but in regards to lechayayin, the halacha is like him. In other words, he was reminding Rabbi Yosef, who often forgot, he became ill at one point of time in his life, and he forgot some of his learning. So he reminded his Rebbe that he did teach that the halacha of Rabbi Yosef in regards to hilmi, but not in regards to lechayayin. My shna, says Rabbi Yosef, be hilmi the pligi rabban alei, lechayayin nami pligi rabban alei. The same way he says that the halacha is not like Rabbi Yosef in regards to hilmi because the chachamim then are arguing on him, so too the Chachamim are arguing in regards to Lechayayim, and therefore the halacha is not like him either. Omalei. So he responds back to his Rebbe, Shiny Lechayayim mishum dekoi Rebbe kavasei. No, Lechayayim is different because Rebbe, he then held like him, and therefore we might say that indeed the halacha is like Rabbi Yossi, that you need 3 tfachim wide for the lechi. Now there's a different version altogether, taught as follows. Rav Nechumi Masni Hachi. Rav Nechumi, he taught the following exchange. Rav Yehuda Bereid Rav Shmuel Bar Shilas Mishmei de Rav. Ein halacha Rabbi Yossi loy behilmi v'lo belechayayin. The halacha is not like Rabbi Yossi, not in regards to hilmi and not in regards to lechayayin. Omar le Amris. Amre le Amris. They said, those who heard the halacha from Reb Shmuel bar Shilas, they said to him that indeed you did say this. Did you say this? They asked him. They were surprised. Did you say this? Omar lahu loy. He responded to them, no, I didn't. In other words, he retracted. Omar Rava said, V'halokim Omra. He did say this. Took an oath. Elokim. The Gemirin on law b'inei, and we learned it from him. Umay taima kahodar be. So why was he chayzer and then said that he did not say that halacha? Because Mishum Rabbi Yosi Nimuki Imoy. Because Rabbi Yosi, in other places of Shas, we find that he's called Nimuki Imoy. He has his reasoning that is sound. And therefore we follow the opinion very often like Rabbi Yosi because of his sound reasoning. Omar le Rav Chanan Abaye, he wants to know what is the final line, what is the final word over here? The bottom line, Hilchas Samai, what is the halacha in regards to the width of a lechi? Is it like the Chachamim who say a koshu, or is it like Rabbi Yosi that requires three tefachim? Omar le Abaye said, Puk Chazi Mayama Davar. Go out and see what is the hanhaga of the people. And from that we can determine that the proper way to make the lechi. Others taught that this exchange between Rabbi Bar Chanan and Abaye was in the following. A person who drinks water for thirst. Now water doesn't have taste. And Birkas Hanen requires an enjoyment. So if he drinks it litzmoy, because he's thirsty, he gets a refreshment from drinking the water, he needs to make a bracha. So what bracha does he make? The Tana comes and he makes shahakol. Rabbi Tarfon Oimer, borei nefoshes abois v'chesronan al kol ma shebaroso. He makes a bracha, borei nefoshes, as his bracha rishono. Omar le Rav Chanan la'abai hilchas amai. What is the halacha? Is it shahakol niya bidvaro? Is it borei nefoshes for a bracha rishono? Omar le Abai responded, puk chazi my amadovar. Go out and see what is the hanhag of people, and then you'll determine what is the proper halacha.